Hey, seventh grade, happy Monday. Hopefully you're watching this video first. This is a recap of 9.2 and 9.3. I went through your homework and I wanted to see where people were struggling, and most of you got not everybody, but probably about 50% of you got the even numbers wrong. So I'm not sure if that's just kind of luck of the draw situation, or if you're using the back of the book to check for the other stuff. But I wanted to go over a few problems from 9.2 and then also a few problems from 9.3. So just like you would in class, make sure you have your homework out. And if you don't remember or not sure what I said in the last video, when you are doing homework, you should have a piece of paper, pencil, just like you normally would. Write out all the homework, write out all the work, and then when it's all done, go to the Google form and type it in. So hopefully you have the homework from last week that you can refer to. Okay, so I want to look at number 8. This is on page 366, so this corresponds with 9.2 where we're finding area. We have a circle. This is from the book. We have a circle and we have a radius of 16. So if you recall, area equals pi r squared. Switching markers because this one's dead. So you always have to have radius for area. You can't use diameter. Okay, so we're just going to plug and chug. Make sure every time you're writing down the formula, we're going to use 3.14 for pi because that's what they told us to use. And we have a radius of 16. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is square 16. And you guys can use a calculator, so I'm going to breeze through pretending like we have a calculator. Okay, just for interest of time and stuff. But 16 squared is 256. Then we're going to simply take that and multiply it by pi. We get 803.84. They told us to round to the nearest tenth. So I'm just going to erase, just to save space, I'm going to erase this 4 here. Okay. So our answer is 803 and 8/10. Oh, this is feet. Feet squared. Make sure you're putting feet squared, centimeters squared, units squared. When we're doing area, it's always squared. Okay, next one, number 10. We have a circle, and this time they are giving us the diameter. It looks like an Easter egg, kind of. So they're giving us the diameter. We need to find the radius before we can do anything. Radius is half of the diameter, or diameter divided by 2. So my radius is 7.5. Okay, so I need to do that before I can do anything else. I'm once again going to jot down my formula. I don't care if it's emblazoned in your brain like it is in mine. I write it down no matter what. And you should get in the habit of doing the same thing. So again, we're going to use 3.14 for pi. We're going to take 7.5 and square it. Excuse me, I'm like having trouble breathing. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm just stuffy from my guinea pigs. 3.14 times 7.5 squared. 7.5 squared is 56.25. And then when you multiply these two numbers together, you get 176.625. So I'm going to round it up to 0.6 or round it to 0.6. So your answer should have been 176.6 centimeters squared for number 10. All right, let's move on to my favorite problem from this section. One of my favorites. I have quite a few. As you know, I love all these problems. All right, number 12. So number 12 looked like this. They gave us a circle, they gave us a radius, and they gave us a portion that's shaded in. How much of that circle is shaded in? That's what you need to figure out first. Only 1/4 of it is shaded in. So we are going to find the area of the total circle and then divide it by 4. We're trying to find a fourth of it, okay? So as we always do, we start off with our formula. Area equals pi r squared. Going to plug our info in. 3.14 times 1.5 squared. 1.5 squared is 2.25. And then when you multiply these two together, you get 7.065. But we're not done. Whoops, this is off the charts a little bit here. We are not done. The area, this is the area of the entire circle. So to find this shaded region, which is only 1/4 of the circle, we're going to divide this by 4. And that gives us 1.76 centimeters squared. Okay. Again, you can completely use the your calculators for this. I would normally have let you use calculators anyways in this chapter, just because I'm more interested in you understanding the formulas versus the computation, because it's a lot of decimals and stuff. So I was going to let you use calculators anyways. All right. Next one is number 16. 16, I think maybe a couple before it, they wanted you to find both the circumference and the area. So you have to be careful. Keep the two formulas separated. They gave you radius, so you don't need to worry about diameter at all. You don't need to change anything. What you need to worry about are the formulas. Circumference is 2 times pi times radius, okay, which is 2 times 3.14 times 7. And again, plug it into your calculator. And you get 43.96. I don't remember if there was a unit, but if there was a unit, let's just call it feet. I don't remember what it was. Circumference is just a singular, feet unit. There's no feet squared. Okay, now area is going to be feet squared. Okay, so area is pi r squared. 3.14 times 7 squared. 7 squared is 49. When you multiply those two together, you get 153.86, and I'm running out of room. I'm sorry, guys. 153.86 feet squared. Okay, so like I said, a lot of you got these right. Probably, there are also a lot of you that did not get them right. My suggestion is to, go back, cover up the work, try and figure it out, or try to redo it and then see if you've got it figured out, okay? All right, now 20, 21, and 22 were kind of crazy a little bit. I posted last week written instructions on how to do this. I posted a photo of my own work so you could see it. But I want to talk about it a little bit. And yeah, these are challenging questions. These aren't just like, hey, let's plug it into a formula and spit it out with our calculator. The very last step, you had to think a little bit. Okay, so there's no harm in thinking. We have a lot of time on our hands, so we can definitely put that extra effort forth to think it through. So we need to find the radius. They're giving us the area. I'm only going to do the first two. You can try the third one on your own. Area, again, is pi r squared. We're going to plug in what we know. Pi is a number, okay? It is not a symbol. It is not a variable. It's an actual irrational number. So it's a number. There's a value to it. So people are like, I don't know what to do with the pi. I don't know what to do with it. Okay, you have 2 out of the 3 values. We need to find the third. So keep that in mind as you're doing these problems. Pi is a number. Okay, so area, I'm going to plug in 113.04. equals 3.14, which is my pi. That's what we're going to use for now. I know it's, not the most accurate. Excuse me. And then we're going to divide both sides by 3.14. You're probably asking, why am I doing that? I want to solve for r. R is my variable. I want to solve for my variable. So that means I want to isolate it. I want to get it by itself. So again, when you use your calculator, when you take 113.04 divided by 3.14, you're going to get 36. And then 3.14 divided by 3.14 is just 1, so you're left with r squared on the right side. Okay, now a lot of you guys wrote 36 as your answer, and it's not the answer. 36 is equivalent to r squared. We're looking for r. So what you would normally do, we haven't learned square roots yet, but what you would normally do is take the square root of this and the square root of that, and that'll get you r by itself, and they'll give you the answer. But we don't know how to do that yet. You may or may not have seen it in other things. So this is a logic question. You have to say to yourself, r squared means r times r. So what number times itself gives me 36? These two numbers have to be identical. So last I looked, 6 times 6 gives me 36. Bingo. So that means r equals 36. And we're merging on to the next problem. Sorry about that. I write big, as you guys know. Okay, so our answer is, I wrote 36. R equals 6. Okay. Last one from this section is very similar. They're giving us an area of 3.14. What is 3.14? It's pi. So they're actually making this pretty easy on us. I'm going to write down the formula as we always do. We're going to plug in what we know. We know that area equals 3.14. So if you see area in the formula, you plug in 3.14. We also know that pi is 3.14, but we don't know r. So we're going to leave r squared there. So again, just like we did up here, to solve for r, we have to get r squared and then eventually r all by itself. So to do that, we have to divide both sides by 3.14, and we get 1 equals r squared. So now the nice thing about this, r times r has to equal 1. This is another easy one. What's the square root of 1? Or what number times itself gives me 1? 1. So my answer is r equals 1. So a little bit tricky. There was algebra involved. You kind of had to think it through a little bit, okay? But that's kind of what math is all about. You have to think things through sometimes. Okay, last thing I want to cover with you guys are a couple problems from 9.3. Actually, overall, you guys did really well with this. There were a few problems that were a little tricky, and again, sometimes it's how you visualize things, okay? So this was page, I'm sorry, I'm not sure, but it was 9.3. So again, take out that homework and fix these problems if you did not get them right. All right, so if I look at number 10, I needed to find the area for this irregular figure. This irregular figure, or another word for it is composite figure, is made up of 3 different shapes, if you look at it very carefully. There's a couple ways you can look at this. Okay, and again, it depends on how you visualize things. The way I visualize this problem, I see this and I want to immediately cut this into one rectangle. And then I want to cut this one into another rectangle. And then that gives me a third rectangle. So I'm going to take each of those rectangles, find the areas for each of them, and then add them up together. The first one is pretty straightforward because we have this section right here, And they tell us it's 8 by 3. So 8 by 3, 8 times 3 gives me 24. So the area of the first shape is 24. Okay, now it gets slightly more complicated. Okay, so we've taken care of this part. I'm going to shade this part in. Taking care of that. Okay, now we have this part right here. This. And if you look, we already know that part of this is 8 feet. Up to here, it's 8 feet. Then they're telling us it's another 4 feet. So our length is 12, right? 8 plus 4 is 12. And then our width is 4 feet, okay? So 12 times 4 is going to give me the second rectangle. So that's taken care of. That's 48. Okay, and then finally, again, slightly more complicated, not too much. We already know this whole thing is 12 from the previous rectangle we found. So 12 plus another 3 is 15. That's our length. And then we have width of 3. 3 times 15 is 45. So we have found the area of all 3 of those rectangles. Now what we have to do is add them up together. Okay, so we have 12 plus 5 is 17. I'm going to carry my 1. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 4 is 11. So the area for number 10 is 117 feet squared. Okay. Some of you may have visualized this a little different, and I don't want to drop my cap. I don't want to like drone on about it, but some of you may have visualized it, you know, like if you cut this and you cut this, there's still 3 spots that you need to find, and you can find it that way as well. So whichever way visually is okay with you is okay with me, okay? Okay, last one, and then you guys can move on to the new lesson today. So last one is number 17, and this was a critical thinking problem. It wasn't so much critical thinking as it was more so about knowing what your terms are and what terms mean. So they told us in number 17, and I'm sorry, I did not write it down, but they told us that we had an isosceles triangle and a square, and they told us that the perimeter was 44. Perimeter is when you add all the sides together. Okay? So, couple things. Square, we know that square has 4 equal sides. And the isosceles triangle means that 2 out of the 3 sides are equal. That's what an isosceles triangle means. Okay, and they actually give us that, so they didn't even really need to tell us it was isosceles. So what we're going to do, we're going to take all the outer edges, add them together, and set it equal to 44, because perimeter is just adding up all the outside. So we're going to take, this is an outside, this is outside, this is outside, this is outside, and this is outside. This is not outside. Do not count this X, okay? So we have X plus X plus X plus 7 plus 7, and that equals 44. Okay, so if we add our 3 X's up, we get 3X. And 7 plus 7 is 14. Oops. And that equals 44. Oh, they made this pretty for us. Okay, we're going to subtract 14 on both sides. And I'm running out of room, guys. I'm going to twist this. I'm sorry if I'm giving you like whiplash here. Okay, so this then turns into, you put your line here. And then this is 3x equals 44 minus 14 is 30. Divide both sides by 3 and you get x equals 10. Okay, so that's how you did number 17. It's a nice little algebra problem there. Okay, hopefully that clears up some stuff for 9.2 and 9.3. We're going to move on to 9.4 today. Should be a fun lesson. We're just identifying some shapes and such. So I will see you during that example. All right, have a good one.